The Tamám Shud Case. Tonight, we drift into a mystery whispered through the salt air of an Australian shoreline, a mystery that has haunted detectives, historians, and curious minds for more than 70 years. This is the Tamám Shud Case, an unsolved Australian mystery story that begins with a man who appeared from nowhere, and left behind silence, secrecy, and a single cryptic message: Tamám Shud. Finished. The end. Sit back, let the room grow quiet, and follow me into one of the most atmospheric true stories ever recorded. Chapter 1. The body on Somerton Beach. It was December 1, 1948, a warm morning in Adelaide, South Australia. The tide was low, the sunlight painted the shoreline gold. By all accounts, it should have been a peaceful day, the kind where the ocean holds no secrets. But at 6:30 a.m., the man's body was found lying on the sand near the sheer wall of Somerton Beach. He was well dressed, too well dressed for a beach at dawn. A pressed suit, polished shoes, a crisp, freshly ironed shirt. He looked as though he had stepped out of an office, not onto sand. Two witnesses had seen him the previous night, slumped in the same spot. They assumed he was drunk. He wasn't. When police examined him, the scene was unsettling in its stillness. No signs of a struggle. No wounds. No footprints in the sand. His limbs were arranged neatly, as though someone had placed him there with ritualistic care. In his pockets were the railway ticket, a bus ticket, a packet of gum, a comb, and an American-made pack of cigarettes containing a different brand of cigarettes inside. Everything seemed normal, except for one thing. There was no wallet. No name tags. No identification. Every clothing label had been carefully, meticulously cut out. It was as though this man had been erased. Chapter 2. The unreadable face at the morgue. Staff noted his appearance was unusual. His hands were soft, no calluses, no workman's roughness. His calves were unusually athletic, almost like a dancer's or a runner's. But more strangely, the attending pathologist made a remark rarely seen in official reports: "I have never seen the features of a dead person so clearly retain their lifelike appearance." Even in death, this man seemed alert, present, unfinished. Toxicology tests revealed nothing. No poison. No alcohol. Nothing. But there were hints that something was wrong. His spleen was enlarged, his stomach had blood, and scientists believed he may have been poisoned by something almost impossible to detect. Still, no cause of death was ever officially determined. Who was he? How did he die? Why did no one come forward? Sometimes, answers arrive in strange forms. In this case, the next clue would come not from the man, but from a book he didn't even have on him. Chapter 3. The suitcase at the station. Weeks after the body was discovered, a suitcase was found abandoned at the Adelaide railway station. It had been left there the night before the man was seen on the beach. Inside were everyday items: clothes, a shaving kit, a knife in a sheath, and an unusual orange thread not sold in Australia. But once again, every label had been cut off. Every clue was deliberately hidden. The only identifying mark was the word T. Keane written on a tight. But investigations showed no missing person named T. Keane anywhere in the country. It was a dead end. And then, everything changed with a discovery almost too strange to believe. Chapter 4. Tamam Shud. During the man's final autopsy re-examination, the small, tightly rolled piece of paper was found hidden deep inside a secret pocket sewn into the waistband of his pants. The tiny scrap carried two words: Tamám Shud. Farsi, meaning, "it is finished." The end. This was not just a message. It was a clue. The words were torn from the last page of the rare collection of poems titled The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, the book involving themes of fate, mortality, and the fleeting nature of life. But where was the book? The public search began. And weeks later, a man in Glenelg walked into the police station holding a copy of the Rubaiyat. It had been mysteriously thrown through the open window of his car the night the Somerton man died. Inside the back cover was an impression, a faint indentation, matching exactly where the phrase Tamám Shud had been torn out. This was the source. But something else was written inside. Something that would turn the mystery darker. Chapter 5. The code on the back of the book were 5 lines of letters, grouped in a way that resembled the cipher: WRGABABMLIABIAMPANDTPMLIABOAIAQCITDM Detectives and cryptographers from around the world attempted to crack it. Even the Australian Navy and Miles 5 examined it. To this day, the code remains unbroken. Was it a spy message? A personal note? A secret love confession? Or just random letters from a disturbed mind? No one knows. But one thing was clear: this man was not ordinary. He was living a life he didn't want anyone to trace. And he died in a way no one could easily explain. Chapter 6. The nurse inside the book. Police also found a local phone number. It belonged to a young nurse named Jessica Thompson, or Jestine, as friends called her, who lived only minutes from where the man's body was found. When police interviewed her, something strange happened. They showed her a plaster cast of the dead man's face. Her reaction was immediate and disturbing. She turned pale, nearly fainted, but insisted she didn't know him. Police didn't believe her. And later, they discovered she had owned a copy of the Rubaiyat, the same edition the page had been torn from. Her version was lost, she said. Her son, later in life, displayed a unique genetic trait involving his ears, the same rare feature observed on the Somerton man. But Jessica died without ever revealing the truth. And her family refuses to discuss the case. It is one of the most chilling threads in this entire story. Chapter 7. Spy theories and strange connections. Over time, the number of eerie coincidences began to form. The man died at the dawn of the Cold War. Australia was home to multiple spy networks at the time. The Rubaiyat had been used as a spy cipher in other cases. The man had no ID, no fingerprints on record, no past. Several deadly poisons of that era were untraceable, matching the suspicion in the autopsy. Jessica Thompson had worked at an Australian military hospital and could have encountered classified individuals. Many theorists argue that the Somerton man was a victim of international espionage. Perhaps assassinated, perhaps silenced. Others believe he was an abandoned lover who traveled across the country to see Jessica, and died mysteriously on the same night. But there's another possibility. One chillingly simple, yet incredibly tragic. Chapter 8. The man with no home. Some historians argue the Somerton man may not have been a spy, a soldier, or a criminal. Maybe he was just alone. A lonely traveler with nowhere to go. A man with personal issues. A lost love. A private sorrow. Someone who chose to end his life without leaving a trace. But the poison, the secrecy, the code, the hidden page, the fainting nurse. It doesn't match. This case isn't sorrowful, it's orchestrated. Someone wanted him gone. Someone wanted his identity wiped clean. Or, the man himself knew how to hide in ways normal people do not. Chapter 9, The Exhumation in 2021. After decades of mystery, the Somerton man's body was finally exhumed using modern forensic methods. DNA extraction was attempted. Genetic genealogy began. And after years of research, the breakthrough finally emerged. The name: Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne, reported missing around 1947. Some celebrated this as the end of the mystery, but others remained skeptical. Why? Because no official record linked Carl Webb to the code, the nurse, the train tickets, the suitcase, the erased labels, or the strange circumstances of his death. And even if the name is correct, every other question remains unanswered. His cause of death, his purpose, his connection to Jessica, his movements, his message, his code. The puzzle is not solved. It simply has a new name attached to it. Chapter 10, The Stillness of Somerton Beach. Imagine standing on Somerton Beach today. The ocean still moves the way it did that morning in 1948. The light still hits the sand the same way. But somewhere beneath those grains of sand lie footsteps, the last quiet steps of a man whose final hours remain a sealed chapter. A man who sat, fully dressed, staring at the ocean, waiting for what? Death. The meeting? A message. For a person who never arrived. The mystery lingers like a cold breath on the back of the neck. Some say the Tamám Shud Case is Australia's greatest unsolved riddle. Others say it's a human story of love, loss, secrecy, and the desire to disappear. But everyone agrees, it is chilling in its stillness, disturbing in its silence, and unforgettable in its details. Chapter 11, The words that end the story. The piece of paper found in the man's pocket read Tamám Shud. The phrase meaning, the end. But perhaps, for him, for us, and for everyone who still wonders, this story is not finished at all. Not yet. Because as long as the question remains unanswered, as long as the cipher remains unread, as long as the shadows around Jessica Thompson remain unspoken, the Tamám Shud case continues. It breathes. It whispers. It waits. Thank you for listening to this slow, atmospheric telling of the Tamám Shud case, a true unsolved Australian mystery story filled with codes, shadows, and unanswered questions. If you enjoyed deep dives into mysterious events, forgotten cases, and eerie true stories, stay with us. There are many more secrets waiting in the quiet places of history. Until next time, good night.